kind of what we want to talk about this morning.
Yeah.
Some of the more, I guess, profitable home improvement projects that you can do. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be because you're getting ready to sell or anything like that. But what are some of the most profitable? Because let's face it, and we've all seen it, you can put a ton of money into something and you can't even tell, and you're probably not going to get what you got into it. But what are some of the most profitable home improvement projects you could do?
So, and this is something where if you guys go out there and Google this, you're going to get a ton of contradicting information.
Okay. Here he is, realty expert John Brodin in the house. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. We had our nice little chat about tequilas and drinks and all of that stuff. And now I don't know if I'm thirsty or feeling ill.
Oh, God.
How have you been?
I've been good.
Good.
Fam's
doing good?
Yeah, doing great.
Good.
Carolyn's like, I think 18 weeks along now.
Wow.
So time's flying by.
Yeah.
We got our basement finished up. That's been a big
Saw
thing.
that. Looks
Been
good.
Working on it we started probably working on it in late April and started getting all the junk
That's
out
not
of
so
there.
bad.
No, we did it wasn't like we had to build walls or anything. The walls were already there. We just needed flooring, trim, doors, stuff like that. So
looks good.
yeah, I love it.
That's kind of what we want to talk about this morning.
Yeah.
Some of the more, I guess, profitable home improvement projects that you can do. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be because you're getting ready to sell or anything like that. But what are some of the most profitable? Because let's face it, and we've all seen it, you can put a ton of money into something and you can't even tell, and you're probably not going to get what you got into it. But what are some of the most profitable home improvement projects you could do?
So, and this is something where if you guys go out there and Google this, you're going to get a ton of contradicting information.
Okay.
We've talked about this before. Real estate is hyper local. The real estate situation, what's a good improvement to make to your condo in New York City that's worth, $3.5 million is different than what's a good improvement you can make to your $200,000 house in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Climates are different, markets are different, expectations are different, price per square foot are vastly different. So if you Google this, you're going to find crazy, all over the place information. But this is what I think applies the most to Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Okay.
And from my experience as a real estate agent. So just something, kind of a caveat for people to know. If you don't take anything else away from this, think about this part. You're much more likely to have a positive return if you bring your house up if your house was one of the lower end ones, more outdated for your location, for your area, neighborhood, and bringing it up to mid-range, than if your home is already mid-range for your neighborhood and you bring it up to the high end. So if you bring it up from being a dump to being mid-range, you're much more likely to be profitable. There's a lot more. You can make some mistakes and still probably come out okay. But if you're going from being mid-range to high-end for your neighborhood, there's going to be a lot less profit to be had there. And you're probably going to need to be even more tight with these, not making any mistakes. So I've talked about this a million times. Probably the king of all low-cost, high-return improvements, new paint. Go with a light, warm, neutral color. That's what's in right now. The cold grays are out. It's warm, neutrals, not too yellow, not too cold, nice and light. That's what's going to be your best bet.
Like light blue, or what are you talking about?
Like grayish. Neutral, so we're not, it's going to be like a mix between gray and beige. Keep it nice and light. That's what's the most on trend right now.
Okay.
I like to follow these, it's funny how things change.
Oh, sure.
Different trends that I've seen even in my time in real estate, when the cold gray was everywhere, gray. People go gray everything from top to bottom. Then it became like stark white, kind of. Now it seems like it's gotten warmer. The term like for the decor style that's probably the most on trend right now is like modern organic.
Modern organic.
You want some. It's kind of a mono. What would the term be? Monotone, monocolor, color scheme, but lots of different textures.
Oh, okay.
If you want to get some Pinterest inspiration, you can look that up.
Oh, yeah.
So another thing that's relatively inexpensive, makes a big difference, especially if they're outdated, is new light fixtures, new carpet and flooring, doing a minor bathroom remodel. So you'll notice none of these are terribly expensive. They all make a pretty big difference. I kind of went from least expensive to most expensive. Those are going to be the interior projects that are probably the most profitable in our market here. Things will be a little bit different if you're in an ultra high-end home, but this is probably more for the average person. Exterior. Minor landscaping projects usually can be really profitable. Don't go too crazy and spend 50 grand on making your backyard look like a park. But minor landscaping projects, especially if the landscaping wasn't great beforehand, huge difference. Big curb appeal boost. Not terribly expensive. Most people can do those sort of things themselves. Not screw it up, hopefully. New garage door. Huge curb appeal boost. Not even that expensive. This makes a massive difference, especially if you're going from a really old garage door. You could have like all metal siding, new windows, new roof, but if you have like a 35-year-old garage door, it can make your curb appeal look outdated.
Sure.
You'd be amazed how much of a difference this makes. New front entry door, same thing. And when you're selling, this isn't necessarily all about just when you're selling, but when you are selling, if you have a nice newer front entry door, it's the first thing that the buyers are going to touch on their way into the house. It's probably the thing they're going to be the most up close and personal with, while me, the realtor, is fumbling around trying to get the keys out of the lockbox.
Yeah.
So this is another big improvement. So fewer things on the exterior, but for interior, new paint in a light, warm, neutral color, new light fixtures, new carpet or flooring, minor bathroom remodel. Exterior, minor landscaping projects, new garage door, new front entry door. Now, what are some of the things that have a low return on investment? And you'll notice I didn't include roof siding or windows in there. None of those things are going to have a great return on investment, but I consider them more maintenance items. When they need to be replaced, they need to be replaced. They're not doing it for a profit.
Exactly.
They can improve curb appeal, but they're expensive, and
you don't re-roof your house just because you want different colored shingles.
Exactly. It's not cosmetic.
Right.
It can add cosmetic value, but it's expensive. So low return. Additions. Our price per square foot here is not high enough where you're gonna add an addition and you're gonna probably get your money back on the cost of it. Now, you might be able to find some list on Google that says additions are a highly profitable home improvement project. Well, that might be the case if the median sale price in your area is 700 grand and the median price per square foot's, $500 a foot. But in our area where the price per square foot's, I don't know what, $130 a foot, and the median sale price is like $270. It's not going to be very profitable. Pools. You might find this on a list where it says an in-ground pool is a great investment if you live in Scottsdale, Arizona or something. And it might be like the improvement to make, or Florida or Texas or who knows where. In Grand Forks, North Dakota, no. They're very expensive. And some people see it as more of a hassle downside than a selling point, especially if the pool is, not in great shape.
And, I know people that have below ground pools, and it seems like once the kids get old and next thing you know, there's no more below ground pool.
Yeah. And, plenty of people get tons of enjoyment out of it. This is not what you're going to get enjoyment out of. This is what is going to, you spend 100 grand on a pool. Are you going to get 100 grand back? The answer is no. Okay.
Right.
Major changes to the layout. This is just anything where you're going to be spending a ton of money because you're going to be relocating electrical, relocating plumbing, relocating HVAC ducts, all this kind of stuff. It's going to be extremely expensive. While it could make a big improvement to your house, these other items are going to be much higher return. You're probably not going to make money back on completely changing the layout of your home. Think about this when you're thinking about buying a fixer-upper too. If you start walking through and you've got this plan for a fixer-upper or a flip house, and the layout's really bad, and you're talking about moving walls and changing layouts dramatically, this is going to come with a heavy price tag. So this is more general, but anything, these last three are more general. Anything that's ultra high end, unless it's like a luxury home. Okay. So easy way to lose money is by spending way too much on one specific project. Going with you're in a $250,000 house and you decide to do some ultra gourmet luxury kitchen with, Carrera marble countertops and Wolf professional grade appliances. And everything that you could spend the most possible money on. It's an easy way to flush money down the toilet. Unless you're in, like an ultra high end home. Anything that's overly personalized and it decreases the function of your home for like the typical buyer that's going to be buying that home.
Okay.
So maybe like you're an empty nester. So you decide to combine, you have 3 main floor bedrooms and you decide to combine them all into one and make some massive, lavish master suite.
Yep.
That's going to decrease functionality because you've went from 3 main floor bedrooms just down to 1.
To 1.
Or like, you really have some specific hobby and you remodel your home around that one hobby, or you install a giant sweet shark tank in your living room.
Yeah.
That costed
park your Harley in there in the living room.
Yes. So anything overly personalized, stay away from that if your goal is to have a positive return. And then lastly, if you have a mid-range or above home, that you're really going to get killed by poor workmanship, bad DIY projects. If the stuff is done so poorly that the person walks in and is like, this is awful, even though you've done a lot of stuff and you think it's updated, when you look at it a little bit closer, maybe it doesn't show in photos, but when you look at it a little bit closer and the workmanship's terrible and there's a ton of work left to do, maybe you got to rip stuff out and redo it, that's also going to hurt your value a lot too.
With my houses, I did a lot of the remodeling myself, and it drives me nuts. It was a lot easier this time around with a log house.
Okay.
Because everything's just butt jointed basically, but I was so picky.
Yeah.
And my wife would say, "What is your problem?" I'm like, "I don't like it." She goes, "It looks great." And I said, "Yeah, but you see that little thing then?" And she's like, "You don't see that stuff." Well, I do.
You do.
But
there's houses that I've seen where your wife would walk in there, even if she doesn't have an eye for that stuff, and she'd walk in and be like, "Oh, whoa,
what the hell
is that?"
Yeah.
So, if you bought a $70,000-$80,000 house and the median price point in the neighborhood's 130, if you're in one of the lower price point neighborhoods in town, like, things don't have to be as perfect because the competition isn't as stiff, or
Sure, right.
But if you're talking $250,000 house and up, make sure the stuff's done right. Don't try to tackle something that's totally out of your wheelhouse and screw it up. And if you do, have a professional come in, fix it, do it right.
Yeah, and like you said too, Pinterest gives you a lot of ideas. I know my wife, she went to town when I was gone deer hunting.
Oh.
And she redid a bunch of stuff in our bathrooms and redid a bunch of woodwork, and it all turned out just super.
Oh, that's awesome.
You walk into the bathroom now and it's like, wow, because we've been working for a year on remodeling that bathroom, and she finally put the finishing touches on it. But she's pretty good at that stuff.
Pinterest is great. The one thing that I have to be careful of when I'm looking at Pinterest for ideas is I have to be able to tell, okay, is that like $1 million house? I look for different signs that would tell me that this design idea looks great in that house, but it wouldn't look good in my house. Like, does this place have 14-foot high soaring ceilings with floor to ceiling windows? It's like, well, my house doesn't have that. Is that what makes this look good? Is it because it's such a high end home that it looks good, or would this design idea look good in a modest home like my own?
Right. And if you plan on staying in that home for the rest of your life, do it.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you got to start thinking about that stuff.
And I think you should think of everything with resale value in mind, because you never know what life changes are going to get thrown at you. You never know when you're going to have to sell. And you want to make the most of your equity and make the most of your money and time that you spend. So keep it in the back of your mind, even if you decide to vary from this a little bit, it's not the end of the world, but make decisions with return on investment in mind. It'll help out in the long run for sure.
Okay, say if I'm looking at a house and you are my realtor and we're in this house, and I would say, gosh, I wonder what this would look like if I did this and that, and are you there to throw in your 2 cents?
Oh, yeah.
If and I mean, because you guys all have a pretty good eye for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a conversation I've had many, many times.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll throw out little ideas that I see, little possibilities, and I'll also mention things like if I see something that's they want to fix or they want to change that I think would be overly expensive and that they wouldn't get their money back, I'm always going to tell you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How does somebody get a hold of realty expert John Brodin?
Follow me on social media everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. If you want to get a hold of me directly, my cell phone number is 701-213-5428. You can call or text me on there.
All right, and we will see you Friday.
Yep.
All right, there you go. John Brodin, your realty expert in your Berkshire Hathaway Biweekly podcast. We'll be back again Friday morning, 10 o'clock, right here.